What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and we are here today for a nice little conversation. It's one that we need to address. It's one that I've addressed on several occasions, but I feel like it's time to do it with you guys and have a nice debate. It's why I'm making this into a nice little stream rather than a video, because I want to see what you guys' opinion are. Because I don't believe there's a right or wrong answer to this, but I think that it's something that is going to be interesting to talk about, because leave it to Dortmund to figure out a way to not only make everybody happy, but also to pee everybody off. So, for those of you guys who don't know, Edin Terzić has been linked to Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, Eintracht Frankfurt's manager is obviously joining Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they are obviously now looking to potentially go after Edin Terzić. And the community is pretty, honestly, I don't even know how to describe it, because I feel like when I put my tweet out today, a lot of you guys were on my side. But I know that there's a lot of people that are basically against it. So we're going to break it down today. We're going to talk to you guys about it and see what you guys are thinking. And it's going to be two things. It's, should Edin Terzić stay next season as an assistant manager, or should he move on, take a job like the Frankfurt job he's been linked to? And we'll see what you guys are saying. So let's get into it. We got a couple people saying hello. What is the news? Ryan is here, says happy for Teresic, but it could be great for us in the long term. It could be. So let me just break it down. So now, this is not saying that Edin Terzic has been left or anything, but I know that there's been reports saying that he's signed a new contract. Obviously, he signed a contract extension, so I will let you guys know that. So the facts of the matter is Teresic was supposed to come in for the rest of the season, and we made that clear because we went out and we signed Marco Rose. Now, Rosa is going to come to the club on a 3-year deal. And right now, after Teresic obviously led us Champions League football, which huge kudos, and also lifted a cup. So he's really cemented himself in here. And a lot of fans were asking, well, why won't he be here next season as the main man? We've already committed to Marco Rose. So that answers that. So the options are he can revert back to an assistant manager under Marco Rose, or he could potentially move on. Now, the second bit of information for you guys is that he did sign a contract extension. Now, by signing the contract extension was obviously to reward him from the good work he did, but it was also announced from our CEO that they would let him leave if he so chooses to. So right now, he did get that extension. If he stays, it obviously, he's probably making a little bit more money, but if he decides to leave, then the contract extension didn't mean anything. And yes, I see you guys are asking, this is confirmed by a few sources saying that Frankfurt are aggressively looking to sign Teresic. It's not confirmed that he's leaving whatsoever, but I wanted to get your guys' take today. Because my take is that I think it's a wise decision to let Edin Terzić go. I can explain that in detail a little bit after I get through some of the comments, and then hopefully get him back in a few years. The other suggestion is try to create a duo between Marco Rose and Edin Terzić for the future. So we'll see what a lot of you guys are saying. I just wanted to make sure you guys are familiar with what the stream will be about today and see what you guys are saying. So, hello everybody. So I don't think that I have connected with the manager than Teresic. I just love him. That's fair, man. I love Teresic too. And I'll tell you guys my opinion, which some of you guys might already know it, but you know, that makes two of us. Lele says, is this confirmed? It is confirmed that Frankfurt is looking to sign him. Yes, he's not left the club by any stretch, so I'm not sure exactly what you were referring to there, Lele. You can ask again. If it is confirmed, it will be a great experience for him, and if things don't work out under Rosa, he can come back. That is a good way to look at it, and that is kind of the way that I'm looking at it as well. Max says, would love to see Terzic stay, but he deserves to be a main manager. Max, I absolutely agree with you, my man. And he is staying as a head coach next season, but really deserves to be manager. So, he is potentially looking to sign for Eintracht Frankfurt. And the reason I think that Teresic should move on and look to take a job at Eintracht Frankfurt is because he's obviously proven in the Bundesliga that he can do it on the top level. He took over a train wreck of a season that was our season this year, and he turned it into a fantastic season. A season that I'll honestly cherish because it had so many ups and downs, but he got us into a top 4 position, which is something that probably a lot of us did not think he'd be able to do. And on top of that, he lifted the Pokal. And honestly, you got to give him a round of applause because this season looked dead and buried. The biggest issue with me with Marco Rose coming in is that we signed him on a 3-year deal. We obviously, a lot of you guys were talking to me earlier today and said that it was honestly is on ourselves. We didn't have faith that Teresic would do it, which is why we went out and signed Marco Rose. And now we have the awkward situation to figure out what to do with him. And it's hard to want to bet against Marco Rose because we signed him on a 3-year contract. And if we sign him on a 3-year contract, that means hopefully we'll be able to keep him for the 3 years because that means that he would do a good job. The big issue for me with Edin Terzić staying on as an assistant manager is that he's now the main man in the dressing room. You see it with the passion. You see it game by game. Everything that he's proven that this club can do. And it's just hard for me to see him staying as an assistant manager because if Marco Rose comes in and sees that the man that he is basically taking over for is still there, their opinions, their ideas, their tactics, they may not overlap. And now it's a situation where Marco Rose is the main man. So even though maybe Teresic wants to do it this way, Marco Rose will probably have the final say, and it can lead to some friction. That is something that concerns me. The other big thing is that like I said, he's proven that he can do it on this level, which also means that he can probably do it for some other big teams in this league. And I hope that he gets that chance and he continues his development as a young manager, as a talented young manager, takes over a club like Frankfurt, if it is Frankfurt, which it's looking like it may be. I also threw in Wolfsburg or Leverkusen, could have been good looks for him. And then in a few years' time, he comes back to us and takes over the job on a full time. Because I think it's going to really stop his growth if he reverts back to a assistant manager role. That's my personal opinion, but I want to see what you guys are saying today. And I don't want you guys to think by any stretch I want Terzic to leave, because I don't. I absolutely adore Terzic. He's obviously written his name into every Dortmund fan that there is, but it's just, in my opinion, I think that he will be back here if he does leave one day to take over on a full-time gig. They'll give him hopefully a 3-4 year contract, show him the faith that we maybe should have shown him this year, but we didn't. And we have Marco Rose for 3 years, and we got to hope that Rose does good because he's our main man going forward. So I'm curious to see what the community thinks, so I'm going to dive into the chat and see what you guys are saying. All right. 5 mil for Terzic and should go get a head coaching gig from Dylan. I mean, if we get some money from Terzic, I mean, maybe that's part of the contract extension. I mean, if we know Terzic, he's everything about this club. So maybe he threw in there a little release clause. I don't know. I don't know 100% know. I don't know the contract details, but I do know that as far as I know, if he wants to leave, if he wants to take over a head coaching job, the board will let him do so. I don't think this would ever happen, but I love him more than. Or didn't think this would ever happen, but I love him more than Kloppo. Man, he's got the passion. He bleeds black and yellow, man, and you can see it. The pictures I was picking up for this thumbnail was a lot of fun because it shows how excited and how happy he was when he lifted that pokal, and everything that he's done to this squad is fantastic. It's why I want to see him move on and continue his development and take over a club like Frankfurt. It's got good bones, good players there, and I think it'd be the right decision for him. Oh, have you seen Alisson's super goal for Liverpool? I did. I went and watched the highlights of it because obviously I was watching the Mainz game and when the goal happened, and it was a fantastic goal, man. It was a fantastic goal. So I mean, huge shout out to Alisson for scoring a last minute equalizer. Mark says it's not fair for him to bring this club back to its winning ways and become an assistant coach, and he proved himself with this team and was unconvincing, so he should move on. Mark, well said, and I agree with you, man. I do. I think he did something that we, even like the board, didn't think that he was gonna do. Clearly, they went out and they signed Marco Rose on a 3-year contract, so they pretty much indicated that Terzic wasn't gonna do it. And to be fair, he wasn't doing it to begin with, man. It wasn't the easiest transition for our main man there, Teresic, because he didn't have the greatest start to this game. He really didn't. His career here was turned out to be unbelievable and one that we all remember, but he got off to a rocky start, an unconvincing start, and he had to really get the reins, and obviously he proved that. He showed that he can do it, and it's amazing to see what he's accomplished this season, and that's why I think most of us are hoping he's able to move on and get that head coaching experience, because I think he's going to come back here. I don't think there's a very, very high chance he does stay as an assistant coach, like Mark alluded to. I think he will go on and take a good job because there's a lot of teams looking at him. There absolutely are, and it's upsetting. It's a lot of people were saying it on Twitter. It's typical Dortmund figuring out a way to win but lose and win by turning around this poor season and make it end in a fantastic way. And it sucks because we have to probably say goodbye to Terzic. Now, nothing's confirmed, guys. He may stay as an assistant manager, but I feel like he has the aspirations to move on and take this Frankfurt job because it's a big job. in a top 5 club in the Bundesliga, it's a win-win for us because we could hopefully get him back in a few years when he's really got a hold of the reins. Charlie's here, says hi. Charlie, how you doing, my man? Lampard would be a great comparison. He temporarily good, but directly switched to Chelsea instead of taking a mid-table club first, and he failed long-term. It is a good example, and people have used the Lampard example with Teresic as well. Now, I don't want to assume that our boy Teresic would immediately fail next season. This is FU cancer, by the way, in case people are thinking that it... Where is it? Yeah, okay. It's not just FU. It's FU cancer. But okay, moving on. But I don't want people to just think that I think Teresic would fail next season if he took over, because I don't. I don't think it is the exact same situation as our good friend Frank Lampard, but that's an excellent example. I mean, if things went wrong with Terzić because like Lampard took a job that was probably a little too big for him at the time, and somehow for Frank Lampard's case, a depleted squad, losing Hazard, and somehow figuring out to challenge for an FA Cup. I mean, he made it to the final, but he also qualified for the Champions League. And for our boys here, Edin Terzić, again, stepping into a huge job and somehow balancing the ship and turning this into a pretty solid season. But there's no guarantee he could do it next season. I'd like to believe he can because he's got this team playing some incredible football. But there's no reason, in my opinion, why he shouldn't jump at the opportunity, because I think he's just too good to revert back to an assistant manager, have contradicting ideas with Marco Rosa, and it also puts a bit of a filter on Rosa. Marco Rosa is coming to this club now with huge expectations, considering that the last temporary manager lifted a cup and also got us into a somehow Champions League position. So he's got huge expectations, and I think going in there with Terzić there may be a little bit more pressure because he's a huge Dortmund guy, and the fans absolutely love Terzić. So if Terzić isn't able to implement his ideas because Marco Rosa is now here, it could lead to some friction, and that was the biggest thing I was worried about. It's almost like I wish both managers will now have a massive difference when it comes to next season. I think Terzić needs a new start. He needs to continue his growth and return to us for a 3-year deal. And of course, hopefully Marco Rosa can come here with a little more relaxed to implement his systems. But we'll see what some of you guys are saying as well. Hi, bro. I'm Borussia Stats from Twitter. Have tweeted about you the last minute. You deserve more hype. Well, big shout out, my friend, Borussia Stats. Big shout out to him as well. Go follow him on Twitter. He, I believe, and you can elaborate on it, my friend, but I believe the club reached out to you and wanted you to do a segment with them, which is very, very cool. Big congratulations. I'll put it on the screen right there for you guys. Very impressive, because I'm pretty sure you're a very new Twitter account and you came up with some pretty intense stats. So big shout out, guys. If you guys are on Twitter, go and check him out. He's done some pretty incredible things in a very short period of time, and I appreciate the shout out, my friend. Means a lot. My boy Tyrone is here. Is it moving to Frankfurt similar to Dortmund? Frankfurt is a massive club, brah. Tyrone, how you doing? Dortmund's obviously a bigger club than Frankfurt, but Frankfurt is a huge club in the Bundesliga. It's a big job for Edin Terzić. I think Terzić should take it because I don't think that him playing second fiddle to Marco Rosa will give him the same experience as it will from him progressing. He's now done it. He's been an assistant for a while. He's been an assistant for Slaven Bilic. He's got that experience. He was over in Turkey. He was in the Premier League. He's now back in the Bundesliga, and he's now got the feel of what it's like to control a club, to have the final say. And he's done wonderful things with it, and the passion I think every club was looking for. It's why then some of the teams that has been linked to him is Cologne, Bremen, Stuttgart, and I believe Leverkusen was flirted with the idea. Wolfsburg's been flirting with the idea, and then Frankfurt was the legitimate source that I think is a front runners for him. And it's why this conversation is happening, because it's an awkward thing, and I want the best for him, which is why I want him to potentially move on. But Frankfurt is a big club, man. Frankfurt is a big club. But Tyrone, my man, how are you doing? Norwegian Polar Bear. Terzić has been an excellent ambassador and trainer for Dortmund. Yes, he has. And I think that's why the board will let him go. Like I said, everyone's confused about the contract extension and that he did extend because, why wouldn't they toss something his way? It's not like they want to push Terzić out the door after the wonderful work he's done for us. But I think the reason that the board offered it to him is because he deserved a new contract. But they also made sure that he was well aware that if he wanted to leave and he wanted to move on, that he'd have the backing of the board because of the wonderful things that he's done. So it's a very tricky situation. It's why I wanted to come here and see what the community is thinking and see what you guys have to say. James says, anyone upset about him leaving is immature. He has his own goals and has to look out for his own, good for him. And I want to thank for putting us in a great position. Hey, Abe Fabe. Well said, James. And I have seen a lot of people on Twitter being upset that he wants to leave, and as we should be, man. He bleeds black and yellow. He's the exact manager you want to have. He reminds me very similar of Klopp when he was here. The passion, the excitement you see on the sidelines, and the wonderful things that he's done, considering that he's been in here, took over a very damaged team, brought them back somehow into a Champions League position, and won the Pokal. It's unbelievable, and arguably, if we would have put faith in him, he'd be our manager for the foreseeable future. If we didn't already go after Rosa and he wasn't coming in, we probably would have signed him on a 3-year deal. That is just my opinion, but the facts are facts. We have a new man coming in. So I think it's probably best for him to move on and take over a club like Frankfurt. It's a huge job, it's a great job, and it's a good stepping stone. And a viewer already pointed out the fact that Lampard had the opportunity to take over Chelsea, completely blew out expectations, qualified for Champions League, and the next season he was sacked. Now he's in contract right now, I think, to potentially take over for Crystal Palace, which would be a nice little take for him. In the Bundesliga, Frankfurt's a bigger club than Crystal Palace is in the Premier League. So it could be a good move for all parties, and hopefully down the line, our boy will return to us. All right, where are we? Axel extended his contract. He did, but again, he did it because he was rewarding someone who obviously deserves to be rewarded. But he has made it very well known that he can leave if he so chooses to. Josh, did you see the video of Terence Hill? He's a BBB fan. No, I didn't. Someone tagged me in it, but I have not watched it yet. I will go check it out. Dang, you got 1K in like a month. Congrats. Well, we got a great community here, my friends. We're almost at 3K. So if anyone's watching right now and wants to drop a like on the stream, it's appreciated. And if you want to subscribe if you're new around here, you can, of course, as well. But yes, the community's been absolutely fantastic. We keep growing here on the channel, and I definitely appreciate all the support for you guys. There could be a possible friction if Rosa and Terzic were together. Remember, we lost both Tuchel, and yes, that's a very, very, very good example. And as an example, I did touch on a little bit. I didn't say that, I did say friction, but I just said the biggest thing for me is the miscommunication. It's like I said, like imagine taking over the club, implementing over the past few months successful tactics that obviously led this team to be the hottest team in the Bundesliga right now to end off the season. And the biggest thing is that unfortunately for us, that manager who put all those tactics into play is more than likely going to leave at the end of the season because we have a new one coming in. Now, say Terzic stays, like you alluded to. Marco Rosa he's got to show that he's the main guy. He is going to be the head manager, the head coach next season. Terzic would have to take a back seat. Yes, they can bounce ideas off each other, and they could be a fantastic duo. I'm not saying they wouldn't be. But the flip side to that is that Terzic's ideas could potentially get stepped on because he's not in charge anymore. That's why I think it's a fresh start for Marco Rosa to come here, to be the main man that he's supposed to be, and not have to worry about kind of interrupting the fan favorite that is Edin Terzic, where Terzic would then move on and find a job that he desperately probably wants to get because he likes probably being that head coaching role, and of course that he deserves it because he's been absolutely fantastic. That's an interesting shout from Dan, and I mean, a lot of you guys may know this. Terzic can speak English, so it's not unrealistic to think that he can't take over a job in the Premier League. So I mean, Tottenham's another big job, man. I don't know what Terzic would want. I wish him the best, and I'm excited. That's a good shout from you, my man, and I'm excited to see what some of you guys have to say going on with this. Eric says, I'm cool with him going if he wants. We will get a chance to fully home his style, and I think he'd come back later in his career because he's loyal to us. Eric, well said, and I absolutely agree, my man. 100%. I think that's what the point I was trying to make is that we back Rosa because, I mean, we got him on a 3-year deal, and Terzic is only 38 years old, man. He can have a very, very long coaching career if he so chooses. In 3 years' time, if Rosa does good or even a little bit before that, he goes out and gets experience with Eintracht Frankfurt, and he comes back to the black and yellow where he belongs. So that's my overall goal, even though I know right now, guys, it stings to see him go, man. He's made so many good friends. And yeah, I don't know, man. It sucks. It's so cool seeing the way that we won the cup there and seeing the emotions from him, the emotions from Haaland, from Sancho. This team is gelling. Marco Reus is playing some of the best football I've seen. It is a tricky situation. It's a crappy situation, but I'm trying to think the big picture, and I see a lot of you guys in the chat are, at least from what I'm reading, kind of agree with me. It's going to suck seeing him go, but we wish him the best and hope that one day he returns. Alex says, well, no matter what, Teresic is a good manager, but he needs to build on that. And I agree. And that's why I said, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't take over Tottenham. I don't think Tottenham's an overly well-run Premier League club. I think it's not that it's run poorly, but not that they back the manager the way that they probably should for a club the size of Tottenham, which makes the turnover for managers there somewhat annoying. And the reason that they underachieve. And I think that Teresic would be in massive, massive pressure if he takes over a job like Tottenham. But I think taking over a job like Frankfurt is, in my opinion, the number one fit. Teresic would suit the Tottenham job. Maybe. The reason I would maybe want to keep him away from the Premier League is just the pressure of the Premier League. Those fans are unforgiving. It's a different environment, but he has worked there under Slaven Bilic for West Ham, so he speaks English very well. So, like I said, there's no reason why he couldn't take over a Premier League job. Just I don't know about Tottenham. He's either going to be very, very well at Tottenham and maybe lift them up, or he would realize how painful the Premier League can be. But I think just a more relaxing, more suitable job for him would potentially be Frankfurt. But I mean, the Tottenham job would be massive, and I can't see Terzic with his aspirations turning that down. Bremen in Bundesliga 2 would be good to go there. He would be, and Bremen has been one of the teams that have been linked with Terzic. Cologne, Bremen, Stuttgart are three clubs that are potentially looking at him, as well as some of the bigger hitters in the Bundesliga, which is Frankfurt, Leverkusen, and Wolfsburg. And I'm looking at those teams and seeing what he did with Dortmund. I don't think that Bremen kind of suits him anymore. I think that he's just he could go for a bigger job. I think that Frankfurt, I think that Leverkusen, I think Wolfsburg, any three of those jobs should be a match made in heaven for Terzic to continue and maybe go a little off book and take the Tottenham job if it is offered to him. I hope whatever he decides he makes doesn't cause a divide among the fans. I don't think it'll cause a divide among the fans, even though I have seen some pretty intense fans on Twitter. I think it's just because he's just drilled such a big part of Terzic into these fans because he's done such wonderful things. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a huge. I don't know. We'll see what Catalina has to say. Why Frankfurt? Terzic got real family in our Dortmund with Royce and the boys. Because Catalina, we got to think the big picture. The big picture is that we want Terzic to continue his development, and I think the best way for him to do that is to take over a job and be the main man there. I don't think it's good for him just in general to stay and revert to an assistant manager with Marco Rose coming in. And I don't think it's good for Rose either. Like a lot of you guys said, it could lead to friction. It can lead to some disconnect between the squad, who is now used to listening to Terzic and now has to be used to listening to Rosa. It's a very tricky, interesting situation. It's a weird one to have because it's not usually the manager you see going out with such love like this after doing such wonderful things. And arguably, Terzic probably wanted to stay here, but no one probably figured and understood how good of a job he would have done. But man, it's gonna be interesting to see where he goes. But I think Frankfurt's a good club with good structure and can give him the opportunity to keep growing as a manager. And then Catalina, of course, return home because that's where his family is. Dortmund is bigger, but I feel like other teams you mentioned would be a perfect fit. Do you really think that he would stay as number 2? So I don't. I think that's why our CEO made it very, very clear that we want to offer him a deal, that he's welcome to stay at Dortmund because he deserves to. I mean, why wouldn't you want him to create a duo with Marco Rose? But, I mean, Terzic just did something amazing at a huge club like Dortmund. He's going to have offers lined up on the table, and his head may turn at one of them, and I just think that the board wanted to let him know that if he wants to take one of those jobs, he doesn't want to go back to second fiddle, he's more than welcome to. And I think that, arguably, if you're asking me, I'd say there's a 75% chance that he won't be our manager or won't be on Dortmund next season, and I'm pretty confident the front runner right now, at least, is Frankfurt. Did you see Allison's header? Yes, I did. Barca might get him. Well, as we also learned, I believe, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Terzic can speak Spanish. So, you never know, but I don't think the Barca job will go Terzic's way. Josh talking about Frankfurt. I went to the same school. I went to the same German class in the school as a dude who now plays for Eintracht's U17s. Very cool. Would be dope if he made the Bundesliga someday. That's very cool, my man. That's very cool. Now, I'm pretty sure, if I remember, you're Finnish. So I'm assuming your buddy's Finnish, maybe? Or you're Finnish and you live in Germany? I can't remember what your background is, but I thought, I mean, by looking at your name, my guess is that you're Finnish, and I thought you told me you're from Finland. So if you want to elaborate on that a little bit more, I would love to read about it. Mark says, well, Terzic used to be a part of West Ham, so he's got experience outside Germany, also in Turkey with Besiktas. Yes, he does. He was been Slaven Bilic's assistant and right-hand man for a few seasons, followed him around from Besiktas to West Ham. And like I said, his English is very good, so that's why it wouldn't surprise me if a top championship side would look at him, maybe a newly... I mean, I'm trying to think what Premier League clubs would potentially look at him, but the championship for one of the big hitters or maybe even a relegated team from the Premier League could be an option as well. No matter which coach we get, our board needs to stop being streaky with their money and back the manager properly. Yeah, I mean, we do need some signings this summer, guys, and we're going to be talking about a lot of transfers that will be coming up. I mean, there's a few that are coming out today, man. I want to talk to them right now, but I have a very special transfers episode that's lined up. We're in contact with the gentleman who'll be joining, so hopefully we'll get that out this week for you guys. Hopefully we'll get out this week, so I don't want to touch on too many transfers. But yes, the board absolutely needs to get a couple signings in for our guys this summer as well. You're right, Josh. I wouldn't want him to take it, but in due time. Terzic should coach Schalke. No. And he never would, man. He never would. Dan, my man, how you doing, my friend? I have a friend who supports Frankfurt, and they were positive when they took away their Champions League dreams. Wouldn't mind Terzic going there. Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of Frankfurt people on Twitter as well. I mean, they were bummed out, but I don't think that they really thought at the beginning of the season they were going to qualify for the Champions League. So they got themselves in a good position to do so, and they did bottle it. But yeah, all in all, I think that they'll still be relatively happy with European football next year in the Europa League. And if they get a manager like Terzic to come in, I mean, I don't know. He's got the passion to uplift that club. We just put Terzic at right back, and he'll stay because he's got what. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what the right back position has in store for us. We need Terzic to stay since we need someone to take care of our young players. We have a lot of them, and he's very good at working with them. He is, man. He is, but he's got a taste now at what it's like to be a head coach at a club like this, and I just don't think that as good as he is with the youngsters, after winning silverware, after doing the impossible and doing everything that he's been able to achieve, I don't think he's overly willing to stay second fiddle, and I think that's why it's good for the club. It's good for Marco Rose coming in, and it's good for Terzic if we go our separate ways right now, and then hope in the future he comes back and picks up where he left off. From what I remember, Rosa isn't bringing any assistant managers at Gladbach. What do you think his team would be like if Terzic leaves? It's a good question, man, and I don't know. It's a very good question. I'm assuming that he's got other options. I think that Marco Rosa in the back of his mind has a team lined up just in case and Terzic does move on. I don't want to speak to that because I honestly do not know, but it wouldn't surprise me if Terzic announces that he is leaving and Marco Rosa's got his team lined up ready to go, but I don't know exactly who it would be. I agree with Josh. In the long run, it will be better basically loan him out. And that is a good way to look at it, guys. We got Marco Rose for 3 years. Let Terzic go over and sign a 2-year deal with Frankfurt, maybe with an option to extend. If you do that, you see those managerial contracts all the time. Sign 2-year deal, option to extend. That way, if Marco Rosa is doing good after 2 years, then he's going to stay his 3rd year out, doesn't get sacked or anything like that, then maybe Terzic can extend, stays 3 years at Frankfurt, and if the time's right, he returns to us. What about Leverkusen? Because their managers, I feel, could leave and it could fit him as well. Yeah, if you're asking me what I think Terzic should do, I'll give you 3 clubs that I would be happy any which way they go. The 3 clubs are, and arguably you make a good case for Leverkusen, and I'll explain why, but the 3 clubs, I mentioned them already. It's Frankfurt, it's Leverkusen, it's Wolfsburg. All 3 of their managers more than likely will leave at the end of this season. But the big thing about Leverkusen that you're making my head turn is that they got a lot of youngsters. I mean, Florian Wirtz is a fantastic one. I think Edin Terzic would be licking his lips to get into there and work with a kid like that. And yeah, I mean, any of those 3 clubs, I think that it'd be best for him to stay in Germany. I think it'd be best for him to take the best job that's available to him in Germany. And I think arguably you can make the assumption that Frankfurt, Wolfsburg, and Leverkusen are all pretty similar jobs. All 3 probably will be playing in the Europa League. And yeah, I mean, take your pick. But there is some good talent in that Leverkusen squad, and Terzic, knowing what he can do, will probably get the best out of him. We don't have endless money, though. I would be satisfied with Lacroix. Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend. I mean, I put Akone was one we were linked to as well. There's a few other ones. Again, I'm not going to touch on too many because we got an episode coming out. But it's going to depend on the money we are going to get from potentially the sale of Sancho. We got massive money from the Champions League now. We got good money from our Pokal victory as well as the quarterfinals in the Champions League. And I mean, if we get money from Sancho, that's going to really foot the bill. But like I said, keeper, center back, and then a potential Sancho replacement or just more depth in the winger area is what we need to be looking at because I believe Marco Rose will be playing a 4-2-3-1 next season. Do you guys feel like Dortmund is viewed as an in-between club for coaches and players who come here to develop and then leave for bigger clubs? There's that argument that's been going on for probably a better part of a decade now. I think that Dortmund has shown over the last few seasons that they're not that kind of club anymore. They are still obviously looked at a club to develop. I wouldn't say for a coach. I think a coach would come here just because it's a big job. I don't know. It's hard because it's when it comes to coaches, we look at German coaches. So it's not like we go over to the world's best coaches and try to get them. We usually target German coaches. So I say any German coach would look at the Dortmund job as a massive, massive one. And for players, like I said, man, a couple seasons ago, we signed Schultz, who at the time was supposed to be our starting potential left back, but Guerrero just kind of blew up after that. We signed Hummels, we signed Brandt, we signed Hazard. We didn't sell anyone really that season. We've really shown and showed strides that we're keeping our players. Last summer, we obviously kept Sancho and kept Haaland, and this summer I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to keep everybody, but I don't think that we're going to be known as a selling or in-between club. I think we're looked at as a very, very big club, and if you're coming to Germany, you have aspirations to win stuff, you probably look at Bayern, you're probably going to look at Dortmund, but we've done a lot in the past to make people rightfully so look at us in those kind of terms, but I think Dortmund and the board has taken the right steps to kind of drift away from that message. Oh, Canucks Hub. Do you think he'll switch to Canada? I am doing a player profile on him, my friend, so I don't want to give too much away. We have a couple of things planned for this week. One is the expert we have, Bundesliga expert coming in from Transfermarkt. I'm going to go through a bunch of transfers with him, talking about a bunch of players who've been linked to this club, even the futures of Sancho and Haaland, get his opinions on that. That will be a lot of fun. I will be doing the player profile there because obviously we have a Canadian link to Borussia Dortmund, so I'm going to do a player profile. This young man was from Oakville. He's playing for Sheffield United, just became the youngest ever Premier League player to score on their first start at 17 years old. And, I mean, if you're looking at a club that's good at developing young Englishmen, I mean, he can represent England as well. You're looking at Dortmund. So he's eligible to represent Canada, he's eligible to represent England, and he's eligible to represent Jamaica. So I will be doing a player profile, and I will be talking to it about him because if I'm not signing Jonathan David, I mean, as long as I can get a Canadian on this Dortmund team, it would be a big win for me. But yes, my friend, I will be doing that, and that episode should be coming up this week as well. Very, very talented young kid, so I'm very excited for that. As much as I want him to stay, but we have to give Rosa the best chance to succeed. With such a popular assistant coach behind him, it'll be more pressure. I just don't think it would work. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. And that's exactly what I agree with. I think that Marco Rose needs to come in here with the full backing and be able to implement exactly what he wants to do. And not that he has a tiptoe around Edin Terzić, but Teresic is now such a fan favorite, man. And people have already said, if Rosa fails, we'll just bring Teresic in. That's not the mentality we need to go into at the start of the season. The mentality we need to go into is that Marco Rose is going to be here for 3 years. So Edin Terzić should find a home for the next 3 years and then assess the situation that way. Yes, Josh, I'm Finnish. My school is known for athletes. Teemu Teravainen, Antti Niemi. Oh, okay. I did know that you said you're a Blackhawks fan because of Teravainen and Niemi. So that's very, very cool. And the dude that you mentioned in Frankfurt's U17s. There we go. He should. Tyrone. He is Canadian. He's backing it up. Yeah, I mean, that'd be very cool. I hope that he does. I think Allegri would be perfect for us. He could have been. He was the one that I was going for, but we're not known to signing managers that are not German. So it kind of, put us in specific situations. Hi, it's me. Maybe you know my name from Twitter. Haha. But I assume they will make a step forward with Rosa and buy players that he wants. And the media is talking about, yes. The two players, I'll be touching on both of those players in the transfers episode that's going to be coming out this week. I'm a big fan of Akone. As a lot of you guys know, I mean, I'm obviously a big Jonathan David fan, so I've watched Lille play a lot. I'm impressed with both those players. Florian, I would be absolutely pumped if we signed both of them, especially Akone. If Jadon Sancho leaves and we do get a little bit of money, Akone is a very talented player, man. He's very quick. He's very versatile. He can play on either wing. He's good at cutting in on his left foot. He can play centrally if he needs to. He would be a perfect replacement for Sancho, in my opinion. And yeah, I got a little bit more we'll touch on, but like I said, we got an expert coming in, man. So I can talk about both of these players, and I will get you guys an expert opinion on how legitimate these chances are of these players. It should be a fun episode. It's been in the works for a long time, and hopefully it'll be out for you guys this week, but we'll have to see. Rosa will be able to play different systems, something Edin still lacks. That is true. Edin Terzić has got two systems, 4-3-2-1, 4-2-3-1. And he really plays them by the opponent. If we're up against a top team, it's a 4-3-2-1. If we're against a team lower in the table, it's 4-2-3-1. But yeah, Marco Rosa is very good at the 4-2-3-1. I've seen him play a 4-3-3 very well with a false 9. He also got the very underrated 4-1-2-1-2, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. You guys are rocking in the comments here. All right. Josh, you could be that Canadian player Dortmund signs. No. I'm more on the broadcasting side nowadays, my friends, but well, that changes everything. He should trade for Jamaica. Tyrone quickly changed, but no, Tyrone, he's going to represent Canada, man. I got a feel from it. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Teemu Teravainen as well, my man. I am. What will more rather happen? Dortmund getting relegated or Dortmund never ever win? Don't know. I don't know where you're going with that, my man. I think Teresic better than Marco Rosa. 6 out of 10. I don't know, my man. I don't know. It sucks that Edin Terzić is potentially moving on, guys, but it is what it is. I mean, he's done such wonderful things for us. We thank him. We're very excited for his future. I'm hoping that, like I said, he does get the job he desperately deserves, and in a couple of years' time, hopefully he'll return to us fully rejuvenated and ready to take over where he left off. But for the next 3 years, guys, we're Team Marco Rosa, and hopefully he can come in. And I am excited for Marco Rosa, man. I am. I think that he had a dull season this year with Gladbach. His head got turned by the big black and yellow, and it's time for him to come in, get back by the board, and hopefully let us compete for the title next season. But we got a fun episodes coming up this week for you guys. Like I said, we got the transfers episode that we've been desperately waiting to do. Player profile coming up. We got the Leverkusen preview and potentially a collab with Tactical Manager, depending on the situation. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for the episode today. You guys were a lot of fun talking to your guys' opinion. A lot of you guys seem to share the same opinion on Edin Terzić with me. So, I mean, only time will tell, man. Nothing is confirmed, but if you're asking me right now, more than likely, in my opinion, he will be signing for our friends there in Eintracht Frankfurt. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe if you're new around here, and we will see you next time.